Okay, so let's begin with these questions in revising for this common test 2. Again, these are questions from past common tests. Okay, before we begin, please do your best to master the algebra of complex number, things like how to add and subtract complex numbers, multiply complex numbers, divide two complex numbers, what is modulus, right? Understand that I square is -1, things like that, right? And what is polar form? Polar form is just artist theta. This is polar form. Oh, what is Cartesian form? This Cartesian form is just the form that we learned initially for complex. Okay, now let's begin. A's is pretty straightforward. For questions like this, normally students would want to start immediately, start with this whole expression, but I would advise you to try to tackle the z squared plus conjugate of w first, then only do the modulus. Normally that's easier for some reasons. One is clearer, your work will be clearer for you to track in the event there's any mistakes. Okay, this is -5 I. So if you expand this, this is 4 plus 4i plus I square, and this will be what? -5 plus half I after the conjugation. And recall that this is actually -1, and you grouped all the real part and you group all the imaginary part, you will end up with this. You should. -2 plus 9 over 2i. And now it's time for you to do this. So really make sure that you recall the formula for modulus of complex number, square, and you would get this, right? Now the part B, there are a couple of ways to go about it, maybe 2 or 3 ways, you know, how you start. I would use the division, means I'm going to divide the two complex number before I do any calculation. So we start with this. I will probably skip skip a few steps, but begin with this. I equals to b plus I, and for this division, first recall that the method you use, and so immediately we identify the conjugate for this denominator, that is 2 minus I. So we multiplied it, this division, by its conjugate. This is just copy in this point, right? B plus I, and you should end up with this. It will be 2a plus 4i minus ai minus 2i square. Recall that I square is actually -1. Now if you again group all the real part, you would have I'm sorry, you should have 2a plus 2 over 5, and here you have I right in front, and this is 4 minus a over 5 plus 0.1, and b plus 1. And this is something like the vector. When you compare two complex number, you compare the real part and the imaginary part. I'll work with the imaginary part first. So this is 4 minus a over 5 plus 0.1 is equal to 1. See the right hand side, this I actually, that's the coefficient is 1. If you solve this, you get a equal to -half, And now let's work on the real part. 2a over 2 over plus 2 over 5. This is equal to b. We now know the value of a, negative half. So by solving this, so sub this into here, you should get 0.2.